Rise up, the Dukes are back, and now it's time to rise up. The crew is back, and now it's time to rise up. The Dukes are back, and now it's time to rise up. Rise up, rise up. The Dukes are back, and now it's time to rise up. The crew is back, and now it's time to rise up. The Dukes are back, and now it's time to rise up. Rise up.
And we're back to another episode of the D's on Fire podcast. Really feels like the D is on fire right now in the worst way possible.
Yeah, so we just got done watching the Dayton game. Literally, final whistle just blew. Yeah, I'm gonna preface this entire podcast. I'm gonna be pretty doom and gloom the entire time. Like, I'm gonna talk super negatively about this team because the flaws were really glaring in this. Now, it's against Dayton. We should try and be a little bit logical, but I don't think I'm going to be.
They've been glaring for the past 3 games. It's not
this is how I'm coping. So
yeah. I'll start off with the lone positive from the night. Jake DiMichelle, the local.
Yes.
Showed up in the loss to Loyola as well. And tonight showed that it was not a fluke. Dan Brott did mention him earlier this season as a guy who's going to get minutes. He showed up a little bit in those games and then went to the bench and didn't seem to find a way in the rotation. Day played horribly, and Jake DiMichelle stepped up and helped out a little bit. The only other positive that I had, and I regret tweeting what I tweeted because then Duran went off immediately after I tweeted this, but Duquesne held Duran in check whenever those two were matched up until Duran hit the three, then pivoted and dunked on his ass, and then hit another three in his face. Up until that point, which was after we cut it to 4 points.
What was this in the first half? I don't know.
What? Duquesne covering Holmes?
When did it start to that matchup was starting to favor Holmes in your opinion?
That was I don't know, 5 or 6 minutes left in the game. It was we cut it to 4, then Duran hit a 3 at the top of the key with Duquesne covering him. One, did not really think that Duran had that in his bag. So give him credit because he hit some dagger threes in this one.
I didn't think so either. And then I was like, what is he doing on the season for three? He's shooting 41% on 2.2 attempts, which for a big man is a lot. That's to put it in, compare that to somebody. It's NBA, but I know Joel Embiid takes 3 or 4 a game. So 2 at 41% is a good clip, and Embiid shoots 32% off the top of my head with 3 attempts. So that's a really good percentage and attempts for a big man.
And I might be alone on this, and it's a very strange take after he dropped 33 on us.
Double.
I do not think he's an NBA talent. I do not think he will get any meaningful minutes in the NBA.
I tend to agree with you. I think he's just a little undersized, really. But if the 3 is real, then I think he can at least get drafted in the second round for sure.
Sure, but
someone will take a flyer on him for sure. I don't know how long his career will be, but he will get either drafted or be on an NBA team next year.
I know that was completely unintentional, but that was a hell of a pun there, taking a flyer on.
Oh yeah, that was definitely unintentional.
Yeah, there is no pause or anything, so I knew that wasn't what you were doing. But man, yeah, he ate us alive. He really just schooled David Dixon to start this game off. We didn't have an answer for him all night. Offensively, we looked horrible. Both teams had a lot of stupid turnovers.
Yeah.
Yeah, my positivity's gone now. It's to the doom and gloom portion.
Um, the the offense, especially to start the game, was dreadful. Um, couldn't like everything was so difficult to create any sort of shot, but then we got in a rhythm, and actually, I think the offense was, we had glimpses of a good offense, but then there were a lot of missed 3-pointers, man. A lot and wide open 3-pointers.
Yeah,
Even if we shot average in this game from three, it would have been, I think we still lose, like honestly, but it wouldn't have been what it was.
yeah. And to go off on that, last year we shot terribly against Dayton. That was because Dayton defended us really well.
Right.
Tonight we just could not make any open threes.
No, I thought defensively, like other than guarding Holmes, it wasn't it was a winnable defensive effort, I would say. Like Holmes, what is, you know, obviously we just talked about an NBA prospect. When you play that type of player, hard to stop him. So I get that part. Other than that, defensively, I felt like, we could have, if our offense was up to par, could have been a closer game.
Yep.
Not as doom and gloom as I thought I'd be so far.
Yeah, you've been a ray of sunshine here.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, Trey Clark had a decent game.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm
he
looking
had
at the box score, 5 of 12, 2 of 9 from three,
he forced some
four
shots. He
rebounds,
made some mistakes driving, but he
5
was
turnovers.
yeah, he made some mistakes. But man, I mean, Day Day cleared it up at the end to cover his box score, but those were garbage points that he was getting at that point. Um,
Yeah, he was a total no-show. Um, I'm gonna say something that's gonna be kind of offensive about this team. Uh, I just don't think they're really built for like the big game or even to show up, honestly, and I think they can only play at home. I think we've lost the 2 games on the road to open conference play. Even non-conference schedule, like, didn't play anytime we were away from home. That's where our losses came from, or we struggled. It was kind of like that last year. I don't know. Anytime like there a big game feels like it's coming, this team feels like it falls short. And then it obviously happened in the A10 tournament, happened in the CBI or whatever the hell it's called. It's kind of been in their DNA for a while, and we just haven't said anything about it because we're fans and we want it to change. But I don't know. I've seen a lot of Duquesne basketball showing that that's true now.
yeah, I thought this year might be different after the College of Charleston game, um, but that was a neutral site game, so it wasn't away,
Yeah.
and they've won the neutral site games at LeBron James Arena in Akron, but that's basically a home game. Um, yeah, uh, I'm looking at the box score now. I mean, is there any other positives I can? We made our free throws that we shot. All 5 of them. We made 4 of them.
Oh yeah, that was like the first time we got to the line was Nekis got to the line. That was the
Yep.
first time in the second half. Like,
Oh,
that's
you know
not good
what?
enough.
That's not. But I do have another positive to throw out about this game. The announcing crew was fantastic.
The announcing crew and the refs were really good.
Yep. No,
There,
I
you
don't.
can't complain one iota about the refs.
No, I really can't. Even on calls that I thought I might have a gripe about in replays, they were right.
Yeah.
There was
There was like
nothing.
one where I thought it was clearly off Dayton. I think it was in the first half or something. And then it was like, I think it was with Dixon, like Dixon fighting with Holmes or something on the baseline.
Yeah, second
But
half.
no, it was on Dayton. So I mean, yeah, the crew, both crews did really well.
Yep. I my big question was whether that should have been a goaltend um, in the first half, where he was
Yeah.
kind of missed
Yeah,
the
hung
dunk.
on the rim. Yeah.
but that was too quick. It was bang bang. It was a lot quicker than I thought.
Didn't make a difference.
No, that was emphasized in a slow mo replay going
Right.
into commercial break. I was like, all right, yep, there's nothing there. I mean, we were able to actually score in the paint this game too, which was even more annoying.
When we wanted to, like when we got there, but there were a lot of times where they
No,
took
we
like
settled.
contested mid-rangers or stupid
Yep,
threes.
settled for
And
super shots.
we did have success at the rim. You're 100% right.
And that was another thing that I was like, again, he had a great statistical game. He dominated on offense, no question. But if we posted him up, we could go to the basket. We could.
Yeah, and you could that was definitely a point of emphasis, I think, for Dan Broad in the second half because they say that again. You're kind of frozen now.
That was an ad on ESPN playing there. So
You also froze up, I think, a little bit after chugging some ice. Um, but yeah, it was a point of emphasis for Dan Broad. Like out of the second half, they went to Williams in the post, who did like a Hakeem Olajuwon type up and under, up and under, up and under. Then Dixon had like a nice spin move, jump hook. Um, so those were successful, but just didn't do it enough. And then a lot of the time, they penetrated in the paint, and it wasn't like a because part of this team's DNA is you get into the paint, pick it for open three, which there were a lot of, and those are good shots. But then there are other times where this team gets scared that there's big people around the hoop, and it's not pass for an open three, it's just pass out because I don't think I have a shot. I'd rather you get stuffed at the rim and it's a clean block than for you to pass out of that when you
and,
get into the paint like that.
and to be fair, we did see a few of those this game too. There
That
were
and I'm honest, me personally, like how I like to watch basketball, I'm okay with that because then you have a decent chance of getting fouled at least.
yeah.
And that was part of the reason why we only had 5 free throws in this game.
Yeah. Dusan had to play really limited minutes, but I thought he looked decent in his minutes.
I kind of disagree with you about the defensive part. Well, based on like the 3-point not contesting 3-pointers, number one, when Holmes has been hitting them. And then Dan Broad clearly told him like you need to go up on those. And then number two, I wrote it down in second half, 7:41 mark. Mohorčić clearly just he dog walked him to the basket from baseline on the right hand side.
Yeah, those three possessions in the second half are the possessions I'm
He
referring
dog
to.
walked him to the basket.
Those all happened immediately after I tweeted that he looked great against. It was the worst timing possible of that tweet.
Like, and I think you're probably right about the rest of the game when those two were matched up, but that was so obscene. I wrote it down, number one. If it's obscene, I write it down. And yeah, it was just like I thought, I don't know if this guy can be on the floor if he's gonna be this bad defensively a lot of the time. That was an overreaction. But that's how bad it was in my mind.
In the first half, he provided very valuable minutes to keep the game somewhat in contention. Him and Jake DiMichelle.
Yes, on offense for sure. Yeah.
And defensively, he stopped. He posted up defensively against Duran, and Duran settled for those fadeaway mid-range shots that he airballed and missed. So he was the reason that we could stop him at all in any way.
I think that was maybe Duran like figuring him out because he's obviously our biggest player. He was like maybe slightly intimidated by his size alone. And then in the second half kind of figured out like, oh, this guy's soft.
Well, he was not soft. He could just blow by him because Dusan is not fast.
Either way, he like wasn't intimidated anymore, I think.
Well, yeah, but that's also because Dusan talked a lot of shit throughout that game. And I think Duran really wanted to emphasize that he could do whatever he wanted against him.
Yeah, that's stupid. That's like talking. I'm not going to compare him to Michael Jordan, but like you're talking shit to an NBA prospect. Like, and you're there. We didn't lead 1 point in this game. You shouldn't be talking crap.
I liked it when he was backing it up, and then it backfired completely, all in like a span of 2 minutes. So I got nothing else. Hey, God,
We're
this
fired up.
this um yeah, and
Was
it
there
really
anything like what like bothered you the most if you had to pick like one or two things?
uh honestly, Dixon defensively just not being anywhere near ready against real competition, because he was our bright spot in a Loyola game. He's been our bright spot basically all season, and in the game against his toughest competition, he completely had no chance whatsoever.
Yeah. Um, I think I agree with you. I mean, he was also block chasing a lot, like not in a good way. And it left us really vulnerable on the offensive
Yeah,
glass,
they got
which we got crushed on.
so many putback, which was a lot of drawn points again, which he does
But
every
a lot of it
game.
was Dixon trying to chase a block, no one to rebound it. They miss it, easy putback. Like that was there were easily 10 points because of that.
And from the Bigs perspective, Trey Williams played a few minutes.
I
He
like Trey Williams. I think he should start, and I think this team misses him.
I don't think this was a defensive matchup for him though. He was going to be a liability wherever he was, because
I think he's one of the better rebounders. I think he's a better rebound than Dixon. I think he's a better rebounder than Mahorcic. I think
I
he's a better
agree.
rebounder than Nakis. It's
But with
basically Fusini Drame is the only like rebounder that's better than him.
but against Dayton, the size mismatch, if he was playing one of those big positions, I think was going to be too much.
You could be right, but I'm saying for like future games,
Sure,
I think he
agreed.
needs to play more.
Agreed. I'm a huge fan of him, but I just thought today's matchup was not one where he'd be getting a lot of minutes, but he did provide some, and he put up I think 4 points at the start of the second half,
Yeah,
again posting up. So I don't know.
I think
Kareem,
Savrasov should have played more.
yeah, I mean we
Um,
talked about that last pod. I
yeah,
don't understand why Savrasov isn't playing as much.
Fusini Drame I kind of get in this game specifically that he didn't play, but Savrasov is a decent rebounder. Um, he's the only one that like consistently gets to the paint and will shoot when he gets to the paint. I said the last pod, he's the top player on this team in box plus minus. Good things happen when he's on the floor. He can shoot the three. I don't know why he didn't. I mean, because he can't create his own shot necessarily, like, but like he can't create his own jump shot. He gets to the hoop like on his own all the time. So I don't know. A lot of damn brought head scratching decisions. Barre starting again. Like I thought that part was over. In a big game like this, I don't see why he started. Like we were down, what was it, 15-2 to start the game?
I remember 9-2. I think it did get about as bad as 15, but yeah, I mean Bari never saw the floor again after he got
And he
pulled.
never saw the floor game. Like, what's the point?
Yeah. Um.
That's kind of that to me. You're just throwing 7 minutes away, or 5 minutes, whatever Barre played in this game.
Yeah. Rozier really wasn't much of a factor in this one. He had the first made three, and that was about it. Um.
Yeah, this team shot 26% from three on average. They shoot like 34%. So I don't know. That's probably three more. If I'm doing my math, that's probably like three more made 3-pointers, and that makes up all but 1 point of the deficit if you just hit on average your threes, and you would expect slightly above average when you play at home.
They they are not as good at shooting 3 pointers as they think they are.
Yep.
Day Grant tweeted earlier this season that he thought he was the best shooter in the world. truly believes that. He's not even the best shooter on this team at this point.
Percentage wise, that's definitely true. Now he takes a high volume. The last time I checked, he's like 33% on. Actually, let me pull it up. I might have it up. This is also like slightly outdated numbers. It doesn't have the Loyola Chicago and obviously this game in here. But he's shooting almost 9 threes a game at 32.5%. You'd like that to be at least 34, probably 35% on that type of volume in college. Yeah, he's just everyone's enamored by he's scoring the most points per game, but I've kind of said it pretty consistently. He's not playing like his best basketball. I don't think. I never thought that this entire season.
Yeah. I'm
Doom and
trying to
gloom. Doom and
I'm
gloom.
I'm trying to think of a lineup that I'd truly like seeing out there. And Trey Clark's out there. Trey Williams is out there. Dixon is probably out there.
I think in most games, Drame might be out there. Fusini. He's our best rebounder.
Yeah, but I'm trying to find a fit for him now too. So is that Trey Clark play? Because
I think Trey Clark plays the one. I think Rozier sits in our best lineups.
Yeah, and I want Jake DiMichelle out there.
I guess so. He's playing the 2 guard. Sorry, Day Day.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. But he was. I mean, he made obviously a great case to be a player in the rotation.
First guard / wing off the bench now.
Yeah. No. If he keeps playing like that, like he basically would take Hassan Drame's minutes, I would think.
So, all right, the ideal starting lineup: Dixon, Savrasov, Day, Trey, and Fusini. You think?
I think that's our best 5. I hate to do it to Rozier. He's a great leader. He plays above his weight defensively. Good 3-point shooter, just doesn't shoot enough. Doesn't turn the ball over. Like he does all the right things, but he just doesn't really shoot enough on offense when it comes down to it. If we're like splitting hairs, and then he obviously like doesn't have the size and rebounding of like a Fusini Drame, that's what his biggest asset, things like that.
But the 3 to 4 guys I think that come off the bench consistently moving forward with those 5 would be Jake DiMichelle, Rozier, Trey Williams, and Dusan.
Was Trey in your starting? Oh no, Savrasov is at the 4.
Savrasov was at the 4.
Okay, yeah.
I think that's the 9-man rotation that they should go with moving forward.
Yeah, and Nakis really showed in this game, or at least it was glaring to me in this game, that he's just not a good enough rebounder. He got beat on the glass a lot when he's 6'8", 6'9".
Well, yeah, but he plays almost more of a guard or a 3 role.
I'm saying on defense, like when he was down at the rim a lot and was still just getting like totally out jumped. He wasn't boxing out very well.
Yeah,
that side of the ball.
Yeah,
I do like him on offense.
I think he's a good guy to throw in if somebody's struggling and shouldn't be getting enough minutes out of those 9. But I think those 9 that I mentioned should be the main guys moving forward.
I don't think it would be a travesty to move Rozier to the bench to start the games. I mean, he should still play 20 minutes a game, like minimum. But I think that's our best 5. I don't know. I feel like you should start your best 5, and this Barre starting stuff is like now annoying at this point.
Well, yeah, but like you said, and I agree with you. I thought that was done. I truly thought that was done.
And I gave him like I was nice last week in the game against, I don't remember now, UMass, I think. Yeah, against UMass. He had some nice minutes coming off the bench because a lot of people were in foul trouble, and that was the best I've seen him play. But that doesn't mean that you should start after that. I mean, Let's pump the brakes a little bit.
Yeah. Trying to think if there's anything else I really want to mention. I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna talk about the girls basketball team.
Okay, yeah.
To continue with the negative vibes, they got their doors blown off on was it Sunday against George Mason. Gave up 101 points. The George Mason team shot about 50% from three, and we just kept letting them shoot wide open looks, playing zone defense. Not advised. Not advised.
No, zone defense isn't good if they're shooting well.
Yeah. So that was definitely not ideal. But they did bounce back and beat George Washington, who they lost two big games to last year. And when I say they beat them, they controlled that game. They beat them on inside and out. It does look like they found something offensively that might work moving forward. So their starting five that I like a lot is still Tess, but at the two. But she's been playing limited minutes lately because of her injury that Zach mentioned in the last pod. And Grantham Medley, who started in Tess's place 2 games ago, has been putting up some points. So she's entered the conversation for rotation. They now have about a 9-person rotation, which last year they had like 6, maybe 7 players coming in. So they have a rotation that I actually like moving forward. I think they're going to end up finishing higher in the conference than the guys will now. That's my take after we start out 0-3 on the guys side.
I don't know how you can say otherwise. 3-1 for the Lady Dukes and 0-3 for the men. It's kind of like polar opposite seasons, right? The men had a really good non-conference record. Girls not great non-con. They were 500 or below 500.
Below 500, I think.
Then start 3-1 in conference. Which one would I rather have? I mean, it's easy. I want the 3-1 conference record.
Yeah.
Don't care that we beat Charleston. I don't care that we beat who else for the men. I don't care that we beat Cleary. I don't care that we beat Bradley. I don't care.
Marshall.
We kind of care a little bit.
Not anymore. At this point, no.
At this point, yes, but at the time we cared.
No, I'd trade the Marshall win for a win in the first 3 games at this point.
No, yeah. And I actually watched the George Washington as well for the ladies. The traveling calls were, come on. I watch NBA basketball all the time. They take 4 steps and they don't call travels.
Yeah.
Half of those weren't travels. Like they just weren't.
Yeah. No, they call a lot of travels in women's basketball.
Oh my God.
It's one of the things that you have to adjust to.
It was tough to watch.
And listen, women's basketball is so much more about the fundamentals where it is. I think you truly have to have great coaching and play calling, and that is emphasized so much more in the women's basketball game where coaching truly makes a much bigger difference. But ultimately, players got to play. Meg continues to show out. Her and one really capped off that win. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh yeah. Screaming like just her on her back, just like roaring like an animal. It was great.
Yeah.
Townsend had a really good game, especially in the first half. The Lady Dukes were struggling a little bit in the first half offensively. I think Townsend was kind of their only answer. But she played really well, and she's not afraid to shoot, which I think I think that's just in women's basketball. There's some players out there that are kind of afraid to shoot for some reason. I think ladies just don't have the manly confidence, that, and probably it's too much confidence from a men's point of view, a lot of the time. But yeah, she wasn't afraid to shoot, and it was nice to see.
Yeah, and she did have that nice coast to coast steal transition to a layup, I think in the second half as well.
Yeah.
So Yanni was definitely a bright spot. And I mentioned to Zach last pod, Yanni, Amaya, and Precious Johnson, all I've seen have dominant 20 plus games offensively. And it just seems like it's hit or miss on which one has that potential in a given night. Yanni had that potential, and Amaya had a great game in that game too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Going back to the guys because I brought it up and I thought about it again. I think the guys just use the rest of the regular season as kind of extended practice almost, where you're just trying to get them ready and better for the tournament, the A10 tournament, because that's all you have to play for at this point.
That's the only it's the only chance at this point.
I don't care about seeding
No,
at this
yeah,
point.
yeah.
You
No.
can play in the pillow fight game. I don't care. I just want the best possible team, everything figured out. Danbrought, you have 2 months to figure out your best lineup to play meaningful basketball.
I think we both hit our limit, and again, I'll say it again. It's against Dayton.
It's more than just this past game though.
It is. And you're 100% right. It is. I think we're both really pro Dukes. We're pro Dambrot for the most part. We don't really like criticize his decisions. We ultimately like trust him because like we're just two schmoes on the couch watching basketball. But the Bari thing, especially, like that pissed me off. Like I keep bringing it up. It pisses me off. It doesn't make any sense. Like you said, he didn't even come back in the game. And then like we were doubling Holmes towards the end of the game, like when we were desperate. And the first time we doubled him turned into a turnover, transition 3 for Day Day. It's like, why aren't we doubling this guy a little bit more, try and get him uncomfortable?
And the announcers mentioned that he said he was going to try to do that at the start of the game. Where
Didn't
was
do
it?
it. Didn't do it.
Was a great idea, coach.
And what I said, like one of the first things I said about this team, I don't know. I don't think as a team, I don't think they have the dog. For big games, this was a big game. They came out pretty flat.
And that's so
And
much
this isn't the first game that's happened.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And it's so frustrating because I've never wanted anything more than to play hype up music and just go down our roster and say dog after every single one. And I can't. It's not there.
No. Especially, yeah. It sucks with Day Day. Like he didn't show up. I can't believe he led the team in scoring still in this game. That's insane. 14 points. He led the team in scoring. Can you believe that?
Yeah, because he put up so much garbage, meaningless points. I believe it.
That's
He didn't score at all
that's why
until
you need to watch the games, folks. You can't just go by the box score. Day Day by the box score, you would say, oh, he 5 of 12 from the field, 2 of 6 from 3, 2 of 2 from the free throw line. That was all with like less than 7 minutes left.
After the game was double digits.
Yeah.
I mean,
God, this hurts. I sacrificed a Friday night to watch this live, and it was disgusting.
I had the stupid thought that Kareem Rozier was actually going to have because he always shows up in these like big games. Like he is the one guy that has consistently shown up in these big games.
Yeah.
He didn't show up.
Trey Clark, who I think is the best player on this team, regardless of how. I mean, he was okay.
He was okay. Overall, okay. Made a lot of big mistakes. Made some big plays.
Yeah,
Overall,
like I said, 5 turnovers, 4 steals. Offset that with 4 steals.
Now, a lot of those steals came in the important moments where that was when we were cutting the lead into single digits, going to maybe make a game, and then
so that's why that's why his name isn't being negatively talked about.
Yeah. I cannot believe that Jake DiMichelle is like the lone bright spot of this game.
He was fantastic. Um, wow. Yeah, really fantastic.
A guy who had seen like a few minutes in non-conference play was the best player on our team against Dayton in a must-win game for us if we were going to care about this rest of the conference season at all.
Yeah. And I'll just say one more. I mentioned it earlier, but the rebounding was one of the big reasons why we lost this game.
Yep.
Letting up offensive rebounds. Rebounding battle was 34-25 in Dayton's favor.
From what I could hear on the TV, I'd say we probably had 3/4 or 2/3 of the fans. Like I know Dayton
Yeah.
contributed to the sellout. There
Yeah.
was more Duquesne fans there.
It was nice to hear the crowd after a made basket.
I cannot believe that they just played probably I don't know. I don't know if that's the worst game of the year, but that's definitely
If
I'm
it's I don't think it is either. It's obviously the most deflating the way we're talking about it, but I don't
yeah.
know if it's the worst performance.
No,
Because
I mean
it was again, I'll say it again. It was Dayton.
yeah, UMass game was worse, I'd say.
Yeah.
Uh, and I feel like there was one non-con loss that was worse, but I can't.
Was it
It wasn't Princeton. It wasn't Nebraska.
Santa Clara?
That still wasn't like as bad. Yeah, I guess this is probably the second worst loss of the season. I'd say.
Because then you're talking about Nebraska and Princeton
Yeah, and those weren't bad. Yeah, so this is the second worst loss of the season behind UMass.
and Loyola, obviously.
I
Which I
I think we
will
played
openly
worse.
admit neither of us watched that game,
Yeah.
unless you did somehow.
Well, I watched a little bit, but it wasn't enough for me to actually talk about it.
Okay.
I watched a few minutes at a lunch break today at work.
Just to be totally transparent. That's
Yeah.
why we glossed over Loyola Chicago. I couldn't. I tried to watch it. I thought it would still be on by Tuesday, Saturday game. It was not.
Yeah, it was
My
a
mistake.
It was a CBS Sports Network game.
Oh, I
So
thought it was an ESPN Plus game.
no, CBS Sports Net.
Oh,
That's
well
why.
then, yeah, I had no chance.
Yeah, that's why I got a few minutes in recording. But it that was another Jake DiMichelle game. So I don't. That was a Dixon Jake DiMichelle game, and again, like I I cannot believe that Day Day, who I was so confident in last year, is just I don't know. I don't know what happened.
I think he's taken too many dumb 3-pointers. I don't think they're. I don't think this team overall on offense is running the pick and roll enough because good things happen out of it.
I think his confidence turned into cockiness a little too much. It's a fine line there. I think he probably went over the edge, started feeling too good about himself, thought that there's nothing he could do that was wrong, and we don't have guards that can really replace him. So he has that ultimate job security right now. But if he keeps that up, I mean, Dambrot has no reason to keep him secure towards the end of the year. He's gone after this year.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
It was a team. It wasn't all on him. It was a team lost today, but yeah, having a goose egg in the first half as the leading scorer is not at home.
Deron Holmes and Day Grant were the faces of each team going into this matchup. Deron Holmes filled the stat sheet. Day did not until garbage time.
And by fill the stat sheet, I will just say the stat sheet out loud. Deron Holmes, 12 of 18 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3, 6 of 8 from the line, 12 rebounds overall, 33 points in total. I mean, the dude, he dominated us. He was the best player on the court by far. We had no answers. The fact that he shot threes was like totally shocking to both of us, to the point where I'm like, is this guy been doing this all season? And he
So
has.
I've seen him play a few games this season. He was shooting threes. They were mainly like corner threes. So I did not know that he had just like
The top of the key three in his bag.
top of the key three too. Yeah, I know it's a very minor thing, but it seems like a world of difference, especially for a
No, it
big.
is. No, it is. I listening to like NBA podcasts that I do. There's teams that have strategies on not letting up corner threes, but they'll allow those arc threes because they're obviously longer and, percentage wise not as great of a shot as the corner three. So it's a big deal if you can only shoot corners compared to anywhere from the arc.
Speaking of big shooting threes, David Dixon. What'd you think of that?
Wasn't a fan. Same with didn't Trey Williams take one too?
Yeah, but he occasionally does that.
We're okay with that. I felt the same with both. I didn't like that in the first half I felt it was we were three happy. But then there were times where they were wide open threes that
Yeah.
they just didn't like we didn't hit threes. Like if that's going to be your identity, Dambrot, if that's your offensive identity, like we're going to hit more threes, like above average threes, and you don't make them at home, then yeah, I mean, like it's hard to generate good offense, especially when you don't get to the line. We didn't get to the line and we didn't hit threes. Like, how are you going to win?
I mean, we griped on it. We griped on basically everything, so I'm just gonna do it again. I feel like Dambrot doesn't know what his team's identity is until it shows itself to him, because it's not like he wanted to shoot threes prior to this team showing that they were a 3-point shooting team last year. And
Yeah.
then they kind of carried over the same offense, even though this is not the same team. We are much better at attacking the rim. That
Yeah.
should be our offensive identity. But for some reason, we just say, no, we're a 3-point shooting team, even though statistically, we're not. Our averages are not good enough to say, yeah, we're a 3-point shooting team. That's our identity on offense.
Oh,
We're
you're
getting fired.
right. No, like so last year I talked a lot. I wish the team got to the paint a lot more than they did. It was basically like Joe Reese could, do some post moves a little bit and Trey Clark would get to the line or get to the basket and that was it. That was literally it. This year we have Trey Clark, Saversov, Husseini Drame. And Day Day, to his credit, has
Early
gone
in
to
the
the basket
season,
a little bit more.
early in the season,
Early in the
especially.
season, that's why he has good free throw numbers. That's why his points look better than they are, is because he's getting to the line a little bit more. Um, and then Mohorčić is showing that he does have a good offensive game. Um,
And,
but
and,
those
and
are plenty of players right there that can get to the rim. And Hassan Drame, obviously, I mean, he's got the same blood as Fusini. They're the same size. They can both get to the rim.
in the very limited minutes that Trey Williams has played as well, he's showed his post moves again. He has that little hook that he can knock down.
He did the dream shake today. I mean, he did the triple, double, quadruple dream shake. It was I can't believe the ball went in, honestly. It was impressive.
And I wouldn't say Dixon has much in his bag yet, but he puts up baskets still.
He brings out one or two like I'm like, wow, oh. One
Yeah,
or two a game he does. He
he
doesn't
brought
have
one.
anything like consistent, where he can do that 5 times a game, let's say. But once a game, he does an eye-popping post move. Yeah, I think we talked this game to death.
Needed to.
No, yeah, it was necessary. This is a therapy session, honestly.
Yep. Hopefully, all you listeners can vent along with us on this one. Um, I'm thinking of somehow opening up a voicemail thing, but uh, if it keeps getting bad, we'll do that. We will open up a voicemail section.
Yeah, there's nothing. Yeah, if the team's not worth talking about, might as well talk about whatever people have to say.
Yeah. Um,
I guess so. Richmond is up next.
yeah.
Do you know anything about Richmond?
This year, no. We should be.
I have Ken Palm up. So right now we're ranked 101
Yeah,
for Ken
we're,
Palm
we're
rankings.
unrealistically high on Ken Palm now.
Yeah,
Our team.
I doubt that yeah, I don't think Dayton is included in that ranking yet, so obviously think that'll go down. Richmond's ranks 97 per KenPom. We're projected to win that game, probability of 60%. And click on Richmond just to see their strengths and weaknesses.
I can tell you what, I'm not 60% confident we win that game anymore. I think we still should,
No,
but I'm not confident we will.
I think, like I said, big games, like all conference games, are now big games. I'm not confident in any game in conference, not one. Is this year's A10?
Rhode Island, are we playing them? I guess once we have to, right?
Rhode Island is February 3rd.
But that's away.
Away, yeah.
Well, that's a loss. Can't win on the road. So
it's tough. And I'll tell the listeners I am officially going to the St. Joe's game in 2 weeks.
they've also underperformed.
They have underperformed in conference as well. I'm not confident about that game. Are you kidding me?
No.
And now, so I was gonna go with my wife, but she has a wedding shower to go to that at literally at the same time as Tip. So I'm going with my dad. And if we look ugly, like he doesn't watch Duquesne basketball, he doesn't care, but he likes basketball, so he's gonna go.
Formation of his sole opinion of Duquesne basketball.
Yeah, literally, like that's exactly right. Whatever happens in this game, like he'll remember this game alone for the rest of the season. So I'm nervous. I'm like, he's like, you waste your time watching this team if we play poorly. I'm like, and I can't fight back at that. I'm like, damn, you're right. Like I am wasting my time.
We've been wasting our time since turn of the year. 2023 is the year of Duquesne basketball.
I like that. I've had that thought for a while, actually. So I'm actually kind of nervous. But yeah. Well, Richmond were projected to win. Holy crap. Richmond is number 1 in turnover percentage on offense. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. And we're good at turning people over, which has been true even when we've been on this losing
streak. They're horrible on the offensive glass. They're actually, wow, that is crazy. Polar opposites. They are last. They are dead last in offensive rebounding, but first in turnover percentage. What polar opposites? And they don't get to the line very often.
I'm sure they will against us.
We're actually really good. Actually, we're not. We're not.
Not good
for fouling. For fouling, we're not. We have a high steal percentage.
Yep. Yeah, all of our strengths are going against their strengths. All of our weaknesses against their weaknesses. I think they're going to win this game. I think Richmond's going to Couldn't name you one player on Richmond's team right now, but just convinced it at this point.
Neil Quinn. He looks to be good. That's our Richmond preview. I think it's funnier if we just leave it at that.
I think Quinn was on the team last year. I seem to remember that name, but could not.
Jordan King.
Nope, don't recognize that one.
Isaiah Bigelow.
Nope.
We're in the era of transfers, okay, people. I mean, it's hard to keep track of anyone. It's hard to keep track of your own team, let alone other teams.
Yeah, let alone conference bottom dwellers like Richmond, and I'm sure Richmond doesn't know anything about Duquesne, aside from the returning players from last year.
Which there are a lot.
What the players that they know is Day. They know
both Treys.
Trey Clark. I mean, yeah, but
Rozier.
Trey wasn't the court. I bet you that
Rozier was like the 7th man last year.
I understand. I still bet you they do not. They could not say his name, but they'll like maybe recognize it after it's said.
I'm just saying, there's a lot of returners. You kind of thought that's not true, but there are.
There's four players they'd recognize. 5.
You named us
He
a
plays
full
13,
lineup.
he plays 13 every night, all right? That's not even half of the guys that are on the floor.
What'd you get from Chick-fil-A?
We got the big chicken nugget meal thing for the fam.
I don't know what that is. What does that entail? I don't buy for a family.
I think I think it's like a 30 or 40 piece of the chicken nuggets,
You
and
almost
then
said McNugget.
I did almost think nugget. Three things of fries. We got one mac and cheese with it, and then three drinks. So it was all lemonades.
Okay.
So
So no spicy sandwich.
no, I usually get one, but did not get one tonight. Uh, the pimento cheese one they had this past year though was so good.
Was it? I don't actually get Chick-fil-A a lot, even though, fun fact, I worked there for like 3 years in high school. But I almost ordered the pimento, and now I'm like, you know what? I don't get this. I don't get Chick-fil-A enough. Like I'm gonna get my go-to.
Yeah, no, I got the pimento once. It was really good. So whenever they bring it back randomly, I'll probably go back and get it. But I also don't get Chick-fil-A much. From a fast food perspective, Taco Bell is king in the house. Um, Kids love McDonald's. Maya especially loves McDonald's. Um, Wendy's is good. The 4 for $4 that's now not a 4 for $4 anymore is still good. I think it's like $5 now. Um,
It
yeah,
goes
that's.
Taco Bell, Wendy's, Chick-fil-A for me.
I think we're Taco Bell. If it's my rankings, I actually think I agree with all three of those. I would throw Get Go in there as well as a place I'd go for their buffaloed chicken sandwich. Um,
Actually, I've never had anything from Get-Go because I'm Team
right,
Wawa. So
but understand. But it's like a buffalo chicken dip spread with a buffalo chicken patty and some lettuce and ranch and onion on like cheesy bread thing, and it's just really good.
sounds good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Uh,
Wow. What a pod.
we've been going for like 50 minutes too.
We had to end on a positive note, and we couldn't think of anything basketball related, so might as well talk about food. Good go to, I think.
Yeah. You know what? If anybody comments on this video, please comment with your fast food
Top
highlights.
three ranking.
Yeah. Top three ranking. If you want to be specific and just say top three of like items, that's perfectly fine too.
Okay, if I had to pick an item from my top three, I have to get a beef chalupa from Taco Bell. That's a go-to every time. I'll mix up something else every time, but the mainstay is a beef chalupa. Um,
And yeah.
Wendy's Baconator. It it never disappoints. You can get shitty fries, you can get uncrispy nuggets, but the Baconator will always be good.
See, I'm a big fan of the double stack from Wendy's.
Okay, won't argue with you. And then spicy chicken sandwich from Chick-fil-A.
Yep, we are basically 3 for 3. I'd do the double stack over the Baconator. Um, but aside from that, yeah, same three really. That's the only
And
substance.
and I tell everyone this in person when I talk to them when it comes to Chick-fil-A. The strips, they used to be way better than the nuggets. It wasn't even close. Now the strips, I think the quality has gone down a little bit, but I still think overall they're better than the nuggets. So for anyone who loves their nuggets, try the tenders one time.
But if you are getting a family meal, I mean the
The family
box.
meal, you can't argue with a family deal. No, I'm not. I don't. That's why I was like, I don't blame you for not getting the spicy if you got a family deal.
Yeah. Uh, all right, folks. Oh, I can't even end. I listened back to the pod with Zach because he talked a lot, so it wasn't as painful to listen back.
Right.
Uh, and that ending, I mean, everybody else missed it, and we can't even really bring it up. But Ah, that was great.
All fair shenanigans that will stay confidential.
Yeah, I am tempted to start recording on my phone as the computer recording ends next time.
Oh God.
Zach, you're a listener. You've been warned.
Oh man. Now he's never gonna come back on. So thanks. Thanks for that. The
We've got
most
to.
knowledgeable person we just lost in tragic fashion.
I mean, we've got to do the ending that we always do, but it's gonna hurt to say it tonight.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll have the women's basketball team in mind when I say it. That's how I'll solve that.
There you go.
I'm back.
Go
All
Lady
right.
Dukes.
Go Lady Dukes. Let's go Dukes.
The Dukes are back and now it's time to rise up. Rise up.